Yeah, I know you weren't here for our last or maybe
Yeah, I haven't. I
last
had
couple
other
meetings,
meetings.
but I can say, we did take a really big break last year, in the height of the pandemic. Dennis, I don't think we met, from March through September? Was that right? I think we met for the first time remotely in September, and then a couple more times, and then the group decided to take a hiatus over the winter. So this is the first meeting since, I think, November.
Since November.
So we haven't been quite as busy as we thought when we originally began.
Well, I was true with lots of things.
Right.
We have to
That
roll
might
with
be
the punches.
That might be a sentence I've repeated a lot. this
I
past-
know.
Yeah, so if I
Well,
ask you-
our tree committee has been meeting on a regular basis, and
Oh, good.
and they're taking a look at their strategic plan and so on. And I've been looking into some things I'd like to see them address. And in regard to canopy cover, in cities, many times they speak of their canopy cover
Mhm.
and what percentage of this, the city is covered with trees and so on. And I'd like to take a look at that as far as Canandaigua is concerned. But it requires some effort. And right now I feel a little guilty asking city administration to pick up on something new, they've got enough going on right now. So I just continue to do some research.
That's really interesting. Is there like a standard for a percentage that's a goal for cities to
Well,
meet?
cities set their standard, and they're really, it depends upon where you are, pretty much. Some of the cities, Portland, Oregon is one that has a good canopy, according to what I'm reading, along with Sacramento, California. And then they said Tampa, Florida. And I'm thinking Tampa, Florida. That surprises me because, I think mainly palm trees. I don't know. But as I said, I'm just learning lots of new information about it.
Well, Dennis, it's 11 after.
Yes,
You wanna
let's get rolling. The first thing that I have on the agenda is the discussion for Arbor Day, which is April 30th. I don't know what the rules are going to be as far as people attending and that type of thing. It's not something that's heavily attended anyway, but I like to see us plant a tree. I haven't had a chance to go and look exactly, but I thought maybe Miller Park or Outhouse Park, Ananda maybe. Blue Heron is also a good place. I don't know how much money we have for a tree. The more money we can spend on a tree, the better the tree is.
Right.
So I don't know if there's any money left.
I think there is money for trees for planting. And I know Troy has told me in the past that Outhouse could use some replacements because I think they had to take several out.
Yeah.
That were dying or diseased.
Those are the blue
Yeah, there were a
spruce.
few taken out.
Blue spruce. Is it?
I can't remember which ones he said.
Yeah.
But when I mentioned planting trees twice, he has said Outhouse Park. So.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, that definitely gets a lot of people there, so maybe that's one place to start.
Yeah.
You
So I
can
can check
order
on what the budget is.
You can order
Right.
materials too through Arbor Day. Posters and to hand out to people who come to any sort of a planting. And the materials are always appreciated by the people who attend because there's some educational value to them too. But you just contact Arbor the Arbor Day Foundation and they send you that material.
Yeah, they have some nice material, posters and brochures. I've seen that. Yeah, they do a good job.
Yeah, they do.
I agree.
And they'll also send you a draft of a resolution that you can sort of reword to fit your situation. And someone can read that and then you can also have
I know,
that.
I think we've used one of theirs before in years past.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we could, I think that sounds feasible. I'll look into the budget and see what's there and what we can use it for. I don't have it pulled up right now, and with my home internet, I'm not sure how it would do if I tried to do it right now. But this might be a good time to tell you that, so a gentleman reached out to me today or yesterday, and who had reached out to us in the past, but he's not on the tree team, but he's interested in somehow being involved. And it sounds like what he would like to do is perhaps either purchase or donate money towards the purchase of a tree to be planted at a town park.
Oh,
Yeah, so it was very generous, and so I invited him to come tonight and said, let's keep in touch. And he didn't mention a specific park other than, he did mention Schoolhouse. I know that big tree is struggling.
right.
But
When we had our visitation, we did say that the schoolhouse would be a good place, but I think right now, probably that's not a good choice for Arbor Day anyway.
yeah, and I'm not saying that, we should use his donation for this Arbor Day or not, but it's just nice that he's interested. And I've been going to the Parks Committee meetings, and I had talked to them about this group's idea of doing, some sort of a sponsorship program like the Parks Committee does with the benches and the plaques at the parks. And they think it's a great idea, and they said they'd be happy to help in any way that they can. Maybe we could make a dual flyer that offers sponsorship for either a bench or a tree. And I think we had talked about this last year in the tree committee, or what do we call this, tree team? Sorry. So if that's something we still want to do, we should try and figure out what a price would be, so we could have like a flat sponsorship amount like the Parks Committee does with their benches. It's just a certain amount, and someone, pays for it, and then they get a plaque and a bench at a park somewhere.
Yeah, I think that's a
Maybe.
good idea. There's a great park in Livonia that they have a number of trees planted, and there's a plaque that goes along with them.
Yeah, and if we get that sorted out in time while this gentleman's still interested, maybe he could do that.
Okay.
I don't know what it would cost us, because it would be the cost of the tree and then the plaque, I suppose.
Now, should we set up a time and place now, or you
For
and
the
I
Arbor
work on-
Day
Yeah,
planting, yeah, we can set some ideas, certainly.
I got a question on the plaque. Is that more of the lifetime type of a thing, or is it a specific amount of time that you sponsor a bench or an area?
Sure. So what the existing program does is that we have a number of benches at town parks, and what they did is they created a program where the person, it's kind of expensive, it's $400. It covers the cost of the bench and like a bronze plaque with raised lettering, and the person chooses, what it's in honor of. Maybe it's for a friend or someone who may have passed away, or just because they love the parks. And so there's a couple lines of text. They get a limit. They say what it wants to say, and then we order the plaque and attach it to a bench, and that stays on there forever, as far as I know. The program's fairly new, so that we've only done it for a couple of years, so none of the plaques are very old. I don't know what we would do if the plaque broke or faded. I guess we'd have it replaced.
We've had situations
But-
where they get stolen.
mm,
Yeah, I like the idea of using outhouse. What, should we
For
set
Arbor
a
Day?
time? Set a time like 11 o'clock or something?
So Arbor Day is,
The
does
30th?
anyone know, is that is it on a
I'll
Friday?
check.
My
It's on a
calendar's
Friday.
not telling me for some reason.
Yeah, it's Friday the 30th.
I've got my Arbor Day thing here. I was
There you
just looking
go.
up.
Well, that one ought to be right?
Yeah,
Okay, so if it's on the 30th, then yeah, we could just do it sometime during the day.
11
And it's,
o'clock, 11
sure,
o'clock, good?
Would the sponsorship and plaquing go also with donations of trees? Yeah, that's another question.
I think that was the group's intention when we first brought it up last year, was that they could, the parks program with the benches would still be separate. And then this one would be kind of like an additional sponsorship program where it's for the tree. And what I still don't know is how you do the plaque. Like, is it something that hangs from a branch, or is it something that's mounted on a pole in the ground next to it? I still don't know how to do that part. I don't have any examples, but
Well, I know up at Allendale, Columbia, they sponsor many of their tree plantings, and they have a little plaque that's a plaque stake combination that gets put into the ground, usually around the mulch drip line, and then it lasts probably a good 10 years
okay.
or longer.
Yeah, it would have to be a sturdier one.
Yeah, well, you can get them out of bronze, metal, any type of metal. It's just, it depends on the cost that what you want to pay for.
Now, with the tree sponsorship program and Arbor Day, we probably should keep those separate, right? The Arbor Day tree should just be a town purchased tree, just celebrating Arbor Day.
Right.
Okay.
Should you and I get together and maybe write something up for the April newsletter? Or,
Yeah, we need to decide what kind of tree too.
right.
And I know we had talked about, people attending or not. And I think with it being outside at a park that's fairly large, we probably could have people come, but, we would just have to really stress that. they
Yeah,
need to-
I think you can leave it open. I think the most I've ever seen, has been 10 or 12 people that have attended something like this.
Yeah, so I think it's okay. if People want to come and
All right,
watch.
so we'll kind of write something up or whatever. Anything
Yeah.
else on Arbor Day?
I owe you an update on the budget for trees whenever I
I
get a
mean, we're
chance to take a look at that.
we're talking about a few $100s to get a decent tree.
Yeah, okay.
And once you let me know, I can pursue getting something or whatever, or find someone.
Okay. Jim, I know you said you might not be able to talk. I see that you're here, and also Dan, maybe you guys could give us a recommendation on the species of tree for outhouse, if we do go with outhouse.
A recommendation, I'd need more information of where it's going to be
Okay.
planted.
All right, let me talk to Troy and see if he's got, some preferences on where we need a tree the most, and then I'll let you guys know.
Okay. Anything else with Arbor Day? Visitations. We did a heck of a job in the fall of covering a lot of things. We have one cemetery the Remington Cemetery. I would like to also do the uplands of Ononda and Leonard Pierce Park and McJanet Park. I think probably we need to wait before we schedule something. You know, I like to get some nice weather. I like to get some leaves on the trees anyway. For that. And I know Dan has certainly played a big role in that, Dan and Edith, so. So at the next meeting, maybe we can set a time for the visitations. A question I get, Sarah, would be, would our group be out of line to maybe go to some of the parks and offer suggestions for what types of trees and maybe location of trees in some of the parks?
No, I don't think so.
You know, I would like to be involved in that, or our group be involved in that.
I think that's part of the reason why we wanted a group like this was, you know, use everybody's knowledge about trees to help us do a better job with our trees in our parks. Whether it's, yeah, what to plant, where to plant it, tree care, stuff like that too.
There really should be a planting plan at many of these parks. I know
Yeah.
Arbor Day comes and you plant a tree here or there, but it should be planted with some kind of forethought, I guess, as to maybe this will be a plantation for like crab apples, or this one will be for evergreen, not just planting wherever you plant because it's a symbolic event. You know, maybe something that has some kind of long-term goal in the planting. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we definitely don't have that. I mean, the only one that was planted with any kind of plan, as far as I know, although I haven't been with the town long enough to really go back, but I know Miller Park was. And we did have a local, was it Mayflowers that designed the plans for that one,
Yes.
Dennis?
Yeah, we did have a plan for Outhouse Park too. That was,
Did we? Okay.
yeah, we had a plan for Outhouse and for Miller. Okay, anything else about the visitation? We'll kind of
Is it possible to get a hold of the plan for Outhouse?
The planting plan.
was
We
it,
should-
with my computer situation, I'm having a hard time hearing something. Dan, what did Dan ask?
Yeah, would it be possible to get a hold of the planting plan for Outhouse? If the one exists?
I can
Yes,
look for it. Or would
um,
Troy have it?
I have the plan. I have a copy of the plan for Miller. Jim Fletcher should have a copy of Outhouse Park.
Okay, because I would like to look it over before I make any suggestions as to what species to plant at Outhouse for Arbor Day.
Okay, I'll see if I can get it. I'm not sure how detailed it'll be.
And
But
there
I'll
was,
ask around.
when I left, Sarah, there were some plans left in my office. I don't know if Troy or who took those. So
Okay.
someone should have some plans too.
Yeah, I'd like to keep consistent with the plan if that is
Still,
what you intend to do, is to keep consistent with it. You know.
Okay, anything else there? All right, last fall, Dan sent out a real nice list dealing with a tree list. And I wanted to know, you know, what do we do with it? Is it something we pursue? Is it something we make a copy of and make available to the public? Do we put it in our newsletter? What's the feeling there?
well,
What do
I
you-
created it as something, as an example of what we could do. It doesn't have to be like that, and we can make changes. That's why I brought it up to the group to get input. as to, you know, what we could do to either improve it or change it, or maybe it's the wrong direction. Just need input.
We don't
And-
have enough members.
I
We don't
know,
have
and-
enough members to give us other opinions here.
and it did get out to the whole group, but I'm not sure, you know, if we really got any feedback. I mean, other than I said, I thought it was a good idea, and I do think we should have something like that, but
Yeah, I think it's a good idea too. I didn't know.
Was
what
it,
the next,
was it too detailed, or, you know, I tend to, I tend that plate, for example, the crab apples that I offered, it was very detailed. Is it, are you looking just for a list, or do you need the detail?
I guess it depends on what we intended to be used for, right? I mean, if it's something that it's just a guide for the town to use internally when we are doing something like this at Arbor Day, you know, or if we're looking to plant trees at a new park or something, you know, I think it's helpful to have the information. And then because I think also that helps with, you know, taking care of the trees long term. But I mean, I think the public would benefit from that too. It's educational. I don't know.
yeah. I guess what I was hoping for some more feedback from other members. I think,
Mm.
you know, Dan spent a lot of time with this, and I think it's valuable, so.
Do
Okay,
you want me to recirculate it?
Yeah, why don't you?
Yes, why don't you do that? Because I don't remember it. But
Yeah, it was
Uh,
a couple months ago.
yeah, Dan, I was going to ask you, did you include, or did you not include trees that you would not recommend for like parks or, for instance, in the city, we have certain trees that we don't encourage their planting, silver maples being one, especially along roadways. So was this just a general list of trees?
well, I didn't take that tact. I didn't provide a list of do not plants, but what I guided this piece to is more of a guide of what to plant. You know, a list of qualified trees or the trees that are okayed by the town to plant. And in my view, of many of the municipalities, like City of Rochester, won't allow planting anything off that recommended list. Anything that's not on that recommended list.
Right, right.
That's kind
And
of-
we have,
You have the same.
yes,
So my point was to develop kind of an outline, a plan for it, going forward and adding trees to it. For instance, when my example plate was of crab apples. And so I selected crab apples that had very good disease resistance, that had good show, good flower show in the spring, had maybe some winter interest and maybe some wildlife interest. And then I also, you know, those are the pros. Now the cons, of course, with crab apples is it produces fruit. You wouldn't plant that in a schoolyard. You probably wouldn't plant it where kids congregate because they're going to throw them at each other. You wouldn't plant it over any type of infrastructure like sidewalks because the fruit's going to fall on it and smash and, you know, get pretty. And then the other concern would be pollinators. You know, if there's kids that are allergic to bees, do you want to plant it near a playground? So those are the type of thoughts that, based on you know, my experience with trees and you know, some of the problems that can impact.
Okay.
So that's kind of how I went about it.
Yeah.
And, you know, what to plant, not necessarily what not to plant, but maybe that's a good suggestion. Maybe, well, I agree, silver maples, I know why they planted them at first, because it was supposed to be the replacement for the American elm, but
Right.
they're very weakly wooded and they're storm damage type of a tree, not something you want as a street tree or even a park tree.
Mhm.
I think there, you know, I think there's value in what Dan did. Sarah, why don't you send it out to the committee again and see if we can get some kind of response?
Great.
Okay, I'll do that.
Sarah, what's the update on the treatment of the trees at Ononda?
Two parts. So Gary Kokersberger from the ECB wanted to, reminded me that we have a student from FLCC who's going to be doing an egg mass survey at Ononda this weekend. Just for her own, you know, as a student, this is beneficial to her, but they reached out to us and offered it. So it's also going to provide us some good information. But yes, we also are under contract with one of the company that DEC was working with to spray the BTK at Ononda on the uplands only, not on the lakeside.
What's the date? What's the date for that? Or have they set a date or?
I don't know yet. I guess it's kind of depending on when they hatch. They have to be a certain, like so many weeks old, a certain size. If it's too early or too late, it doesn't work, I guess.
That's what, I'm on the watershed association, and we've got some things planned too in terms of spraying. And I think, if I recall correctly, it's late April that they are looking to do a spray.
Okay.
Yeah, but that may be too early, but it depends on the weather condition and the growing degree days and the life cycle of the insects.
Mhm.
But usually, my bet is that it'll probably be the first weekend or second week in May. The caterpillars have to be in there to be effective, BTK to be effective. They should be small in their second instar. That means they're probably about a ½ inch large, you know, or long, somewhere around there. And that's the best time. They have to feed on the leaf that has the spray on
Right.
it in order for it to be effective. And it has to grow inside them and then release.
Yeah. So I don't have a date for Ononda yet. I just know that I think we do have a signed contract with him. And that's the only location the town is contracting to do it.
Right, and I think probably most of you saw the Canandaigua Lake Watershed Association letter dealing with the scouting and scraping of the gypsy moth.
Yeah.
We set aside 3 dates.
Yeah.
I'm going to be sign up for 1 or 2 of them anyways.
Right.
I
We
don't
have,
have-
actually, we have a board meeting tomorrow night, and we'll be getting a report on the number of people that have signed up thus far. But I like the idea that they're doing it in several locations, so people can sort of pick and choose where they would be more, it would be easier for them to be.
Yeah, I'm glad they're doing it. I think it's a great idea.
That's all I have on my agenda. Do you have any other comments or other things anyone want to talk about?
Yeah, I know that, Dennis, you were concerned about the trees by the lakefront on the town park there. The upland trail, of course, being sprayed, but there's a few susceptible trees by the susceptible to gypsy moth by the water and by the beach. And of course, you can't spray that.
We had, so when we reached out to Bryce June to talk to him and ask him what, you know, for just feedback on the whole spraying program too, he said for the lakeside, you know, we can look into other treatment, especially if we have specimen trees that we're worried about. And we have a contract that's related to a grant from DEC for the hemlock Woolly adelgid with a gentleman who's been working on our hemlocks at Ononda. And he actually talked to us about it too, when it was, because he was out at the park during during kind of the worst time, but he was there treating the hemlocks, and he said, you know, some of the same treatments I'm doing for this would work for those trees for the gypsy moths. I think he was suggesting doing injections.
Oh,
Yeah. What was it? Injections of imidacloprid or?
I think so, yeah.
That'll
That's what
work.
he's been using on the hemlocks.
Yeah.
So we, I think there's actually money in the budget for that as a potential treatment for the lakeside. We don't have a contract with anyone yet, but I know it was discussed, but I think that's as far as it got.
If he's going to use systemic, then he really, the time to do that is as soon as you get the foliage, as soon as the leaves pop and fully expand. And that needs, because it can take, imidacloprid can take up to 6 weeks to become translocated and move systemically throughout the tree. So you could miss a lot and get a lot of feeding in the meanwhile.
Do you think, in your opinion, would that be too late then
Well,
for this year?
well, what I'm doing for a lot of my clients that have sensitive areas where you can't spray. And well, first of all, we don't know if gypsy moth is going to be another problem this year.
Yeah.
But we can wait and we can see. But for places where you can't spray, you know, you're going to have to put a systemic in. Systemics take time to translocate up into the canopy. There are some controls that are distributed quicker than others. Merit or imidacloprid, the injectables, that can take 6 weeks. There's organophosphates like acebate that can reach the canopy within a matter of hours and are very effective within a day. But the drawback to those is you get a very short window of control or residual. So you might get at a higher rate, you might get control for 6 weeks, 8 weeks. And that's critical timing also, because you want 8 weeks, 8 weeks, 10 weeks is about the time that the gypsy moth feeds. So the timing's critical there. Imidacloprid, you get season-long control, but if you go a little too late, then you're going to miss it. You're going to see a lot of damage before you get accumulation of the imidacloprid in the leaf. So these are things to think about. I would probably feel better going with an old organophosphate for some of those, inject that into the tree by the water area, by the beach area, because you can get quick control. And then if you can get continued feeding, then follow it up with another injection with imidacloprid. So you kind of piggyback the two. And this would be for very high value trees.
Yeah.
That you can't have feeding on, or it wouldn't be a good idea.
All right. Well, I'll talk to our parks person and our town manager, because I know they were the ones we were talking to, trying to figure out what we should do. So thank you. I'll share what you said.
okay, anything else? We do have a meeting, what is it, April 12th? Is that our next meeting, Sarah?
Second Monday, so that puts us, yes, on April 12th.
Okay. And you and I will get together and write up something for Arbor Day.
Yeah, and the newsletter, the goal for that would be to have it go out close to the 1st. So, either on that Thursday or Friday, the 1st or 2nd, or the following Monday, the 5th. So if we just
Okay.
plan to, talk probably a couple weeks from now, really.
All right, I'll stop by the office. You're in the town hall.
Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Okay, I was wondering, our tree committee meets the first Monday of the month. And I just wondered if there'd be any interest in maybe having a joint meeting at some point, just so each group could become aware of what the other does, or, just learn more about how addressing trees in the town is different from addressing trees in the city, or, just a chance to see what two different groups are doing in the area regarding trees.
Yeah, that might be a good idea.
I think it's a good idea, yeah.
Yeah, sure. Yeah,
Okay.
I would agree.
Well, I will take that back to them. We'll probably be looking at like maybe May, because I'll take it to, we just had our meeting last week, so
Yeah,
I'll take it to the meeting in April and see if maybe we could plan it in May. And it could be either one of the Mondays, whichever.
right. So you guys would be meeting, as far as May goes, you would meet May 3rd, and this group would be scheduled to meet May 10th.
Right, okay. And since I would say we would be kind and come, to your meeting on the 10th, but I have to pass that by him.
I think it's a good
So
idea.
I'll bring it up, but it's interesting because I sit and I listen to some of the things. We're talking about the same things, but in different degrees, I would guess is the best way to put it, because of the size of the
Yeah.
town versus the size of the city, 4 square miles compared to. the
And then,
town.
but we don't have street trees necessarily, so it's mostly our parks and
Mhm.
cemeteries.
Yeah, I think cross pollination will be good with the city and town.
That's a good point.
Agreed.
Very good.
All right. Well, thanks, Ellen and Dan, Sarah.
Yeah,
All right.
take care, everyone.
And thanks, Jim, too. I know
Yeah, I
you're
see
here
Jim
and you
was-
can't speak.
Hopefully next time I have my computer back.
Okay, very good.
Thanks.
Bye,
All right.
everyone.
See you all.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, thank you.
Bye now.